So we're going to mount our fuel pump to the underside of the van. Now it comes with this little bracket, and then when you connect it to the bracket, you just have to make sure that it's on this 15-degree angle, and you want the intake side to be this side, and you want the pressure side, which is the higher side, that's got to be where the electrical connection is. So now we're going to mount this to the chassis of the van. There's already a couple of holes in our chassis in the Iveco, so I've put a riv nut, an M6 riv nut with a threaded nut into a hole, and then I've just drilled a hole into this bracket. So I'm gonna bolt that to the chassis, and then this bracket also comes with an M5 washer and nut here. So what we can do is we can just drill another hole just to make sure it's totally secure, and then we can just feed another bolt. So I've got a bolt coming from the side and a bolt coming from the bottom, and that should lock it in place. And also another thing to remember is you've got to have the intake side around about 2 meters or less from your diesel tank, so from your supply, and then you've got up to 6 meters on the pump side to get to the Truma. So in other words, you want this pump closer to your diesel tank more so than your Truma unit itself. So, and another thing as well is you want to make sure that you're not mounting this too close to like the exhaust muffler, and if you are, you need to create some sort of like heat shield so it doesn't get hot and burn like your fuel line. So we're going to get under the van now and mount it up. So we've just ran the fuel line from the diesel pump up into the Truma, and we've just installed the fuel pump. As you can see, it's pretty tight under the van, but that's how we've done it. You just got to make sure it's on that 30-degree incline, 15 to 30 degrees I think it is in the manual. It is a little bit close to this muffler, so what we might do is we might get some, you can get this wrap and it will wrap around the muffler, and it makes it not give off so much heat, just in case, because it does say in the manual do not have it near the muffler, or if you do, you need to create some sort of protection so it won't heat up. So we'll probably do that. So we've mounted the pump and we've ran the fuel line from the diesel tank to the pump, and now we're going to run the fuel line and the 12-volt pump cable from the fuel pump up through the van and to the unit. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole through the floor to allow for the fuel line and the insulation around the fuel line, and also the conduit with the 12-volt cable in it. We're going to have to drill a hole to allow both of those to come through. Now the hole saw that I've got is 24mm. Hopefully that is big enough, because it's the only one I've got. Also, you want to have your hole roughly, this is where the fuel line goes here. It taps into there, so you want it roughly just below there, just to make it easier. We've drilled our hole and we've got our cable for our pump and also the fuel line routed through the floor of the van, and we've also got another hole here, and this is for the pressure release valve for it to release out under the van. We've cut it on an angle because the front of the van is that way, and when we're driving nothing will go up. It will sort of shield it. This bit here will shield it from any like debris and dirt that or wind when we're driving through. We've also put a conduit around the cable, and we've just cable tied them both together so they're nice and protected. So it's a little bit awkward under the van here, but we've got this heat wrap that I've wrapped all around the muffler that we spoke about, and then We've got our fuel pump mounted just there. Got our freshwater tank mounted here. Okay, so this is our freshwater tank outlet, and we've got a John Guest 12mm pipe here fitted to our freshwater tank, and that goes up through the van and to our pump, our shore flow pump. So we've got our freshwater tank under mounted on the bottom of the van. That's a 110 litre freshwater tank, and then we've got a John Guest fitting from the outlet, and that goes up through the van and it comes up through the floor there. Then we've just got an elbow comes up, and then we've got a isolation valve there. That's just so if we want to isolate the line and work on the pump. From there it goes to the pump, and then we've got a sure flow pump, and then from there we've got a pressure reducer that comes with the kit, and then from the pressure reducer we've just got a T here, and then we go down, and then it goes to a, behind here we've got a non-return valve, and then from the non-return valve we've got this, the drain valve. We've got the drain valve there. So basically how it works is the water gets pumped up with the pump from the water tank, and then from there the water comes through into the Truma Combi D6, and then once it is heated the water comes out here, and then we've got two lines. So we've got one line that goes up to our sink, and then this other line goes through the bottom here. It's hard to see, and that goes to our shower. Very simple. Just follow the diagram when you're installing it. Just follow the diagram. Everything's labeled. It's clearly marked how it all goes. Very simple to follow. Didn't have any troubles with it whatsoever. Just when you're also doing your plumbing, just make sure that you're pushing your push fit fittings right in and then giving them a tug back, and that will give you a secure seal. And also with your hot water fittings, make sure you're putting the little clips in, because these get hot and they expand, so you want to make sure you put your little clips in as well. But apart from that, real easy system, real easy setup, and that's how we have done it. Alright, so a couple of things to note with the plumbing, just a couple of little handy tips. So we got this here, and it is made for the John Guest pipe, 12mm pipe, and basically you just, it's kind of hard to do it with one hand, but you just put your pipe in and it rests in the slot there, and you've got a little cutting blade there. And what this does is you just get your pipe in, and when you press down it just gives it a nice clean 90-degree fresh cut with no burrs on the ends. This stuff is real tough, and if you try and cut it with, like, say, a Stanley knife, you're not going to get the best cut. So this here is really handy and really simple to use. Also, when you're doing your hot water with your John Guest fittings, make sure that there's a line, you'll see like a line here on your fittings, and that's where your pipe should go all the way to. You should be able to push it all the way there. And also when you're measuring your distances, a good way of knowing how much you need is just to measure from that line to the other line, and then you'll know. And then also these are the clips for your hot water, and these go, once you've got your pipe in, these go in there. They go in there like that, if you can see. These, you really need these, especially on your hot water, because the pipe will expand and then you don't want it to pop out, because it will. So that there. Oh, and also we just used any sort of 12mm clips, and that was just to mount our John Guest pipe to the back wall. Yeah, but in terms of, like, you know, ease of use, the John Guest system, really easy, really simple. Yeah, you can't really go wrong.